All right, everyone, I just had a piece of coffee cake and washed it down with more coffee. It's a good time is had by all, just normal day in Styx Hexenland. Just thought you should know that. We got to talk about the DOJ's probe, though, because in 5 days we're going to get the results. And we've already gotten a general guess of the draft report that they're going to put out. Horowitz there from the DOJ. They're looking basically into the FBI's investigation of Clinton's email servers. That's the long story short version. It turns out that in all likelihood, at least in the draft report, it calls James Comey insubordinate, says he wasn't doing his job, he defied orders, it's quite explicitly. He wasn't doing what he needed to do, and that Loretta Lynch should be criticized as well with her part in the investigation, which is basically taking Comey's insubordinate recommendation and not charging Clinton with a crime that he himself on national TV basically said, yes, Clinton did actually conduct. She committed multiple felonies. It's just that they decided not to charge her for those felonies. That's what it boiled down to, is the perfect waffling decision. It was the perfect Clintonian style of defense. And to everyone who's not a Democratic partisan, it looked fishy. I think a lot of people, if they're like centrists, they didn't care enough. They're like, just fucking go forward to the election, end the probe. Enough is enough. It's not substantial enough to care. The damage has already been done. We already know that the Clintons are slimy. The Clintons are almost isolated and insulated against scandal. Everyone already knows them as a crime family. They're so scandal-ridden that, anyone who likes them, they're probably, unless Bill Clinton were to drop his drawers and start wiggling his cock around in circles like a helicopter and making weird noises and running down, Main Street or something. Unless that sort of thing were to happen, nobody's really going to be shocked. Oh, the Clintons lied? The Clintons perjured themselves or obstructed an investigation? They tampered with evidence? Oh, well, what else is new? It happens all the time. It happens on the reg, man. Nobody cares. They're the Clintons. And that's just sort of how it is. With the DOJ probe here, though, if they call James Comey literally insubordinate, Congress, immediately the Republicans are going to solidify and they're going to say, we need to reopen this investigation. We need to find out exactly what was happening. You could have other substantial material, by the way, dropped in the results here. I expect that the DOJ, Horowitz will come out and he'll give his findings probably on live TV. They'll probably be streaming on 1 million internet streams at the time. If he then says, well, Comey was insubordinate, didn't do his job, Clinton broke the law, and he refused to recommend charges because he was being partisan, that casts a pall over the Mueller probe. Part of the Mueller probe's fundamental premise is that Comey is saying that Trump conducted himself in an improper manner. Trump, is number one dumb, basically, according to Comey's dumbass memos. He's dumb. He asked me, please do this, please do that. Ease up on me. I think it was Manafort's a good dude. I think it was Manafort he referenced explicitly, according to Comey. Trump all along is saying Comey's full of shit, didn't do his job. This would bear it out because the DOJ, the Democrats have already laid the groundwork to say, well, he's just weaponizing the DOJ to go after political opponents. That's not the point, though. Right now, it's a lopsided fight. The Republicans are at a disadvantage right now. The Mueller probe is going. Now, they all assume it's partisan. The Democrats assume it's legit. Most of the centrists, though, they want the Mueller probe to continue. You don't have a counterbalancing probe into a high-level Democrat. You just don't have that. With the DOJ's report coming out and the possibility of Comey and Loretta Lynch and sort of the Clinton thing being reopened, that would counterbalance it. Now, the Democrats are all going to assume it's just a partisan hit job, but the centrists will have something to chew on that doesn't implicate President Trump and the Republicans in any wrongdoing, but instead implicates basically the top Democrat, which is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, like it or not, is the face of the Democratic Party. Obama has made it abundantly clear at this point. He doesn't want to be more than a behind-the-scenes figurehead for the Democrats. He's not being very public about things. It's actually astonishing what he's totally different. The Clintons, when they're not in political office, what do? They hog the limelight as much as they can. They make statement after statement, speech after speech. They're highly, highly visible. Obama's not. Obama seems to have gone almost back to a total family life, like to be a private citizen. It's a breath of fresh air that he would actually do. Like Jimmy Carter, he's more like Jimmy Carter, ultimately, than he is a Bill Clinton. That's probably a good thing. I don't have many good things to say about Obama, but at least He knows when not to insert himself into the political circus that has become today's U.S. political situation. I don't think he wants any part. Honestly, I think part of him is burned out from politics. I actually genuinely believe that. And corrupt as I may think he is, I think he's just fucking had enough of it. And he's like, well, you know, I've got like $40 million in the bank. I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna go golf. I'm gonna eat pineapples on the beach. I'm gonna go see Kilauea at this point. He doesn't give a fuck. He's actually more laid back. He's a Gen X style president. It's funny because Bill Clinton acts more like a boomer or something. Basically, Bill Clinton, I've pointed out his weed statements were perfect because basically it's a wink to Gen X. I smoked weed, man, it was great. But it's also a reassuring statement to their parents. It was, don't worry, I didn't inhale. Don't worry, the President of the United States never got high on the devil's weed. Yeah, I was pressured into it, but I actually smoked it. That's basically the Clintonian style. It was masterful, by the way. It was 4D chess almost at the time. But the DOJ probe's results will be coming out. I expect them to be substantial. Keep in mind, I don't expect Clinton to ever get indicted. She's never going to see the inside of a cell. We all know she deserves to. The number of scandals that she and her husband have been involved in is so sheer that it's like if they weren't the Clintons, if they were anyone else, they wouldn't have survived politically. Thankfully, Clinton didn't become president and then pardon herself. Ha ha. But, you know, you already got the left yesterday, because of Sean Hannity's trolling, labeling what she did as tampering and obstruction. And that sets the groundwork for, in a few days, this report. Like I said, Trump absolutely told Hannity what to say. The President of the United States occasionally uses a few political puppets. Absolutely. Other admins have done this. It's just more obvious with Trump because, like, Sean Hannity, he's not smart enough to dream that up on his own. He doesn't know what's going on that much. Trump does, though. Trump's got his finger on the pulse of America very, very well. It's just you don't see it. He's willing to play dumb. He wants you to think he's dumb so you don't realize that he's hoodwinking you, actually. But by the way, big kudos to him for managing to fool even his own fans so much of the time. It's hilarious. It's why I think he'll be reelected in 2020 if he runs. And I expect that's likely. Roger Stone's claims aside. And Roger Stone appears to be like a fair-weathered friend figure. Like, I think he wanted like a major advisory. He wanted to have a nepotistic position in the admin or something. He expected to get rewarded for his loyalty, and then when it turned out Trump was going to run a clean ship, Roger Stone and Bannon and some of these people, I think, got slightly upset. Then he stacks John Bolton on there just to frighten North Korea and Iran, and it's, hilarious. But when the probe comes out, I don't expect the Clintons to ever actually get in any criminal trouble. But I do expect it to tilt the metrics of the country's political situation. It will continue to polarize. Things are getting more and more polarized by the day, which is regrettable. But it swings public support slightly in the direction of Republicans. And remember what I said months ago. Trump needs to be at or around 45% or more approval on election day for the midterms in order for the Republicans to retain the House and probably flip a few Senate seats in their favor, which means no blue wave. I'll be analyzing that next. He is already climbing to that level. Current projections, assuming that the trend stays the same, probably carry him to 46 or 47. He's actually got a little bit of leeway. And keep in mind, you have to look at the average. On any given day, you're not getting necessarily an accurate reading. If it's approaching 45%, there will be no blue wave. He's perilously close. And if the Democrats take attrition from having a major scandal that they have to deal with and talk about, it's going to become a nightmare for them. Look, they had a 13-point lead in the generic ballot months ago. Now it's a 3-point lead. And some of the polls don't even show them with a lead. That's a statistical tie. So they're not looking at having too much fun. And as Trump recovers, because the job market is going well, the economy's churning along, foreign policy, he's going to get his Korea summit. If that's a success, forget about it. He gets to 45%, definitely. Absolutely, because then he gets another notch in his belt, which is, hey, I'm not just good on money and jobs, I'm good on foreign policy. That's 3 big-ass issues. He already gets approval on his handling of ISIS. He's above Obama in many metrics already. It's just that you've got so much propaganda and so many never-Trumpers that are going to be so hard to convince to ever even go back to being centrist. It's a weight around his neck and the Republican Party's neck, but their panic initially, months ago, their panic about Trump, the Trump effect will be negative, we're going to get wiped out, fucking in the House, the Dems are going to take the Senate. They're not panicking anymore. You see that they're regrowing their courage and they're starting to raise more money. They're less nervous. They've got months ahead of them that should be smooth sailing as far as the economy and foreign policy, more or less. That's a good place for them to be. I would much rather, if I were running in the midterms, I'd rather be a Republican than a Democrat in a generic sense right now, because they've got the wind at their back, so to speak. And this probe, if the report is as damning of Comey as I think it'll be, it eliminates one of Trump's major political foes and puts the light back on the Clinton scandal, taking it off of it. The Mueller probe's practically disappeared. The last time they did an update, it's like, oh, Manafort this, Manafort that. I've heard a dozen stories about Manafort, not one about Trump anytime recently. That's because there's no indication that the Mueller probe is going to be able to indict Donald Trump. I don't expect him to be. I expect him to be president for 2 terms. That's about all. Peace out.